Wonderful. Now the official introductions of our panelists. Bryce is a Wichita native with many titles as he works to advance entrepreneurship and opportunity in Wichita. He is the co-founder and president of the Launchpad Community Center. He's a co-founder and partner of MADE, Mid-American Diversified Entrepreneurs. He's the owner and operator of Shock Shop Barbershop and Supply. Bryce has recently been honored by the Wichita Branch NAACP, receiving a Community and Neighborhood Award at the 99th Freedom Fund Banquet. He is married and he is a devoted father. Officially welcome, Bryce. Next up, Ms. Tijuana. She is the owner of Mamarazzi Entertainment Magazine. After achieving her bachelor's degree at Wichita State University, she launched an urban entertainment magazine to provide a platform for Wichitans to learn more about local musicians, small businesses, and hardworking community leaders. The popularity of the magazine allowed her to expand to offer a multitude of unique entertainment events, promotions, and communication services. It was important for her to utilize her skills to connect urban culture to its intended market. She feels it is important to highlight community-based efforts and businesses because the success of entrepreneurs enables economical growth and expansion, which is good for the city. Thank you, Tijuana. And rounding out our panel is Mr. Chris Walker. He is the CEO, owner of Big Walk Apparel, a brand that is built on love and peace of mind. His brand caters to the thinker, the one that can think their way out of any situation that may come about. A thinker is alive and living at all times. Every thought becomes alive in their mind. Every day that they wake up, they make it their mission to live their thoughts. I love that. So as they get ready for the day, they constantly remind themselves to think big, live big. Chris is a Wichita native who was married and is also a devoted father. Please welcome Chris. All right, so I have a few questions, but again, definitely we're going to keep conversations flowing. There is a difference when you decide to enter into the entrepreneurship space. You look at opportunities different. You look at the ability for you to place your gifts and your skills and your passions at play to make a difference in the community. I want to ask you all, each of you, feel free to take this question. At what point did you begin to consider yourself an entrepreneur?
I'd say I kind of always had that entrepreneurial spirit. So I always tell a story when I was about 10. I would detail the cars with my teachers at school, just to have a few dollars in my pocket. And a big moment in my life was the first pair of shoes that I bought. Personally, with my own money, was a pair of Shacks from college. It was 24, 99 or something like that. But I saw them and I was I wanted to get that for myself. So, about the age of 10, I was I could do something, with that.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
I think for me, I have never seen myself as an employee, which is bad. But I think, and you have to forgive me, something's going on with my contact number. But nonetheless, I think that I've always known what I wanted to do. I've always, been interested in spreading the word through journalism, communications work, and I think that, even after I had launched my magazine, I didn't necessarily see myself as an entrepreneur. When I started, generating revenue for the magazine, finally, after a while, is when I started realizing that I had something that people were interested in, the demand for my magazine, the fact that when I wasn't producing, people wanted it. The demand for the magazine. That's when I started really realizing I was like, okay, I might be on to something. This is something that serves a purpose. People are interested in it. People are upset when they're not getting it. So I was like, I'm gonna have a business. So I think it took a while to really understand that.
What year did you launch your magazine?
2011. Yeah, only months after graduating from college. So that's how I remember.
What about you?
For me, we kind of grew up without a lot of resources, so that was when I feel like I first took on my entrepreneurial spirit and understood that I had the ability to go out and generate income, or at least find, exchange service for goods or whatever the case may be. So when I was in kindergarten, first grade, I started knocking on doors and taking out trash and doing things of that nature, and that grew into cutting grass and shoveling snow. And, then as I got older, I want to say when I was about 17, I got introduced to Emily, and that was when I first heard the terms residual income, passive income, understanding, I could separate myself from the work and still receive income, and then I think that's kind of when it clicked for me as far as like what an entrepreneur really is, or at least the way that I view an entrepreneur. The ultimate goal, I think, for most entrepreneurs is to not have to work and still make income. But if you enjoy what you do, of course, you have the option to work. So I've done a plethora of things since then. I've tried it all. And I've always gathered information and carried those skills over into whatever my next venture was. So.
It's really interesting that you all talked about, again, that mindset just early on. You detailing cars, my goodness. It's cool, like,
I'm thinking of all these missed opportunities.
That's crazy. If you all were to think back at your first kind of indication that maybe you think about things differently, what would it be? Do you have the memory for middle school, elementary, anything like that, where you're like, huh?
I do.
Okay, what was yours, Keisha?
It was same thing, resources, you know, like I was hungry, so started taking out trash, knocking on doors, like in 4th grade. And then I started babysitting, and I got really good to where I didn't have enough of me to go around. So then I had enlisted other friends, and so parents would call me and be like, hey, can you keep my 3 kids for, I'm like, no, let me call Shakira and see if she's available, what's your rate? And that kind of spiraled on until I started doing hair. And just whatever that was going to give me that money, and so I could, you know, really work at 16. And then from there, still, I wasn't a good employee. I did not like working with other people. I was horrible. But after I got to college, I opened up a daycare. Then I moved to Dallas, and then I moved here. When I moved here, I started doing hair full time. I've been here for 8 years, so I've been doing hair here for 8 years.
And again, that sparked in elementary school. I never considered myself to be an entrepreneur, but in thinking about where did this begin for me, like what was the earliest possible indication? Again, I didn't know until I was older, but I would ride the bus and draw pictures for nickels for kids.
Oh.
That they couldn't draw. But I want to detail the cars, that's you're right with that. So all of these, again, how we enter and how we're introduced to entrepreneurship, for you all, it happened, you know, sooner rather than later. When we look at and think about entrepreneurship in Wichita, it doesn't always have our face. How do you all feel being entrepreneurs in this particular city, in this particular space?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to, I don't know, I guess like the climbing or whatever, it's an uphill climb, for sure. But I mean, I like to think I'm competitive. So like anybody who may not necessarily know about me, they're gonna at least know about my brand, you know, and then you can know about me personally later. So that's kind of how I know about it.
You hit on something on the bit, so I'm really working that one.
I think, you know, when I decided to pilot the magazine, it was very much with this mentality of the for us, by us. So many people had told me this, and, you know, I had come to a realization also that in terms of providing a sense of entertainment and news coverage for the demographic, for being able to do urban entertainment, it was really, it wasn't, there's not that many entities out there. And I don't know if Christina, and I'm not just brown nosing you guys, but I don't know if she realizes this, but back when Christina worked for the Wichita Eagle, she had the Northeast Wichita beat, or I don't necessarily know what the name of the beat was. And you guys, I was like, I read that every single day. And I never, this is before I even put a face to who she was. And I thought that that was something that, you know, that was my spark. just to be able to see someone representing and providing coverage to the area in which I lived and grew up was really, really important. And, you know, that was something that I was very inspired by, is to make sure that when it came to urban culture and urban entertainment, that I was also that outlet for letting you guys know about all the businesses, all the businesses, community leaders, and musicians within our demographic. I would say that I made it my purpose to make sure that I was connecting with, by way of, me providing that particular service for others by learning about these urban entrepreneurs, these, African American business owners. I think that it allowed me to basically to understand that it's much larger than me, to be able to feel connected to the struggle, feel connected to the fact that there's other people who are striving just like I am. And so by way of educating myself through through what I was doing, I think it kind of really tied those things in for me.
Thank you for that. What about you, Bruce?
So the way that I see Wichita, the way that I view Wichita is that it's right for growth. There are a lot of people who leave Wichita and they're like, man, ain't nothing here, we ain't got this, we ain't got that. And they go somewhere else, and then 6 months later, a year, 2 years, they come back. I see opportunity. I don't see that we don't have this, we don't have that. That gives you the opportunity to be the person who brings it. We don't have a top dog here. Won't you see how much it costs to bring the franchise here, position yourself to be the one who brings that here? I'd rather be pursuing those opportunities and creating opportunities for myself and others than to go somewhere where everything is already built and you can just be a part of it, but you don't really have the opportunity to build anything. So I kind of view Wichita as like a toddler. You know what I mean? And Atlanta or somewhere like that would be like a full-grown man, woman. You can go and you can experience and be a part of something in those cities that are already fully developed, but there's limited opportunity for development because the spaces are already filled. In Wichita, if you want to create something, you want to do it. So I really enjoy being here, and I'm excited about the future of Wichita and the different things that we can come and collaborate on together. Just as a side note, and recently we had the ICT Blackout Awards, and the thing that I thought was so powerful about that was that all of those entrepreneurs were all gathered in one place, right? And that was great to celebrate each other and to congratulate each other and encourage each other. It was awesome. Again, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to next year. But what I left thinking was, what would have happened if somebody would have got on the stage and said, what are we going to do together? We could bring, they have Essence Fest here, they have this and this city and this city. They bring people from all across the nation to be a part of it. What if all those entrepreneurs in that one room would say, hey, let's work on one project together? What does that look like? And so that's kind of how I view Wichita. We're all getting our individual pieces to this pie, so to speak, structured and put together and built. Because first you got to be able to sustain yourself, pay your bills, eat, things of that nature. But once you get to that point, connect with another business owner, connect with some other organizations, and really see what we can create together. And that's what I'm most excited about Wichita.
You all each hit on different parts of the opportunity that is here in Wichita. But Bryce, you kind of nailed it from your perspective. And when you're talking about there's places where it's already built here, you have the opportunity to build. That takes a different, in my opinion, type hustle. Because, it's easier to edit a page than to create something from a blank page. Would you guys agree? How do you keep the resolve when sometimes it's lonely or sometimes you don't get the respite from easily identifying and connecting with other creatives just because the core concentration of us is not necessarily as deep as it is in those other areas? How do y'all keep your resolve?
Like I said, I just kind of go back to, me being a competitor. Like, I like to look at, every situation as an opportunity to, gain a new customer or whatever. Even if they may not necessarily like me as a person. That's why I give the message first. You get the message, And then as you love and revere the message, once I show my face, it kind of puts everything together.
I'm a stop you right now. You know I believe in real talk, okay? Listen to me, it's real talk. I love what you're saying. Which talk is so, people say so close though.
Right,
People
right.
talk about you do business with people who you like, or if I don't know you, I know somebody who knows you. And when we talk about building a business, sometimes that question, do we build ourselves as a brand or do we build a brand as a brand? How did you go about deciding, you know what, it's gonna be my message first, it's gonna be my brand first, in a place where everybody knows everybody?
I guess I would say most of like my sayings or quotes or whatever, like my biggest one or whatever is what was mental. I feel like just that alone allows the mind, anybody to expound on it, so just to be able to see that as a message, I feel like you're more likely to expound on that versus look at who came up with it, I guess. Because a lot of people, when I first released it, I think it was like, 2017, people that didn't necessarily know it came from me. They just saw it and it was on 15 people and then 30 people and then 45 people. It was like, oh, where's that coming from? And then boom, then you come back to me, So that's kind of that's kind of how I guess I did it.
Yeah.
I do like, what is it called? Like brain teaser in a sense. Like let me capture the mind first and then like create a hunger and then you come find me.
Thank you for coming up.
It's really interesting to hear you say that because when I started the magazine, it was Mamarazzi Entertainment Magazine, and I named it Mamarazzi because I admired just the work ethic of paparazzi, how they will always want to be the first to get the photo, want to be the first to tell the news, and so I switched it, made it Mamarazzi, but I never was trying to call myself Mamarazzi. So I put out the magazine and I realized that, any stance that I had as it relates to the magazine, it was something that people felt ownership over. So here I am thinking, well, if you don't like something that I say in my magazine, go start your own magazine. And that was, the defense that I had initially. But then, it took some time. I think Marquita might have been one of the people in my inbox telling me just, about Wichita's ownership of the magazine because it is, the only thing of its type. And so I had to start kind of like relinquishing some of that. I didn't change how I recorded or anything like that, but I allowed people to be able to just have their own opinion. I didn't fight people in the way, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my stuff. But having to do that, and so that was something that I don't think that if I had been in Atlanta or somewhere else, it would have been relevant. I don't think that it would have been a big thing, but being that, here in Wichita, we don't have that much when entrepreneurs start something here, people want to give their opinion and their input about your business. They want to tell you what you should have done and, hey, you need to do this. And, the demand for it changes, the way that they feel about it. They are just really attached to your business. And so I think that I had to grow through understanding that, and I would say, if I had any struggle, it was that.
Yeah, so as far as keeping your resolve, one thing I think is important for us as entrepreneurs, and I may be wrong, but I think most of us in this room, if you are an entrepreneur, you probably didn't start with a Donald Trump loan, a small loan of $2 million or anything like that. So I think it's very important for entrepreneurs who are starting from scratch, so to speak, to have some sort of passion about what it is that they're doing or what they're offering. As opposed to just starting a business to make money because you got $2 million to start a business with. And so if you're doing something that you're passionate about, then it's touching on your purpose. And so you can overcome those obstacles when there are challenges, when there are shortfalls, or when there are people who say negative things or do something and you're trying to start a business or whatever the case may be. We've all overcome it. Anybody who's been in business has had to overcome some obstacles. When you're passionate about whatever it is that you're doing or who you're providing for, however you want to tie passion in there, it has to be present. And once it is, then you can just keep going. It doesn't really matter what anybody else has to say or what you're doing.
There's always obstacles along the way, and every one of us had to go through obstacles to start up. Very briefly, talk to us about your startup story. What motivated it? How did you actually do it? What was the success? What was the struggle?
This is a good story. So, how I came up with the brand, I was a freshman at the University of Tulsa, newly married. I think at the time we didn't have any food or anything like that. I was going back and forth to the cafeteria, bringing food home, just so wife could eat, you know. So my nickname in high school playing football was Big Walk. I was the smallest guy on the team, but in key moments in the game, I would make plays. So I wasn't playing football anymore. So in those like rough moments, I'm like, man, why am I going to do this? You know? And it's like, oh, because I have a big walk, you know, a bigger walk, a bigger, you know, thing. And like, so then, I'm sketching the design, well, for the old logo at least, doing the logo, and kind of get brainstorming on the idea and the concept. It's like the only way I feel like I was able to get out of it is to actually think, you know, kind of think my way out of it. You know, so it's like, how do I present that to other people who find themselves in the same situation? And it's like, okay, the clothes brand, everybody wears clothes. How do I get you to wear my clothes? And it's basically say things that's relatable to the common people, you know? So, but got back here after a semester, kind of brainstormed with my wife and one of my friends, and we was like, you know, let's just do it. Let's figure out how to do it. Excuse me. I think we just did like 15 shirts the first go around, just to see how it went. Within like a week, it was, you know, gone, sold out. So, but I mean, I guess that's just kind of the foundation, the key piece. I had to use my own concept, my brand, to kind of get me through that little rough patch. So.
Thank you very much. Let me ask you before we move on, technical expertise. You can have the passion and the desire, but technically, did you have any experience in design work at all?
No, not at all.
How did you overcome that challenge?
Trial and error. So I got another story kind of later down the line. So I had a Galaxy Note 5. I did all my sketches and designs on my phone, and I had about 250 of them right on my phone. And I'll say like 95% of them were hideous, you know, but I just would do it randomly throughout the day just to kind of get that practice or whatever. The phone crashed. I lost all of it. And I'm like, do I really, you know, have the capacity to redo it? And I just had to sit down again, go back through it, and then work through, you know, kinks or whatever. And then I finally got comfortable with my own style and flair. So, but yeah, just work and practice.
Thank you for that. Next up.
I was right out of college. I was broke. I was broke. So I didn't have any money to have anyone assist me with graphic design. Being that I had already graduated college, there was no saying, hey, college friend, can you design this? So, you know, being that I became a single mom while I was in college, I didn't really feel as though I had those connections. So I had to learn how to do that by myself, doing the layout, you know, trying my hand with designing a cover that I thought would catch people's attention. I'm a long ways from it now. Now I have the money and the means to be able to pay someone to be able to do that. But I did have to teach myself that. When it came to, because initially the magazine was a print magazine, and the cost of print is just expensive. And I just want to say that I started the magazine at some really, really interesting times for print journalism, is because so many things are like, yeah, you'll still see magazines when you go to the grocery stores, but more so that news already becomes expired when it gets out there. So online is really the way to go. And I think that I had to humble myself and learn those types of things. One of my favorite magazines is Sister to Sister magazine, and they're no longer existing in print. And so I had to really look at trailblazers. I had to look at how the industry itself was shifting and changing, and I had to make that my business. Paying the really expensive prices in order to be able to do print also allowed me to be really, really innovative. I was really making no money from doing the print issues. I would charge $5, but what people don't know is I spent $4 and some change or whatever on the print magazine. So I would then turn around and I would do these promotional events at different venues in order to be able to recoup some of that expense and also be able to promote the magazine. And that turned to be really, really successful. So a lot of, and even doing advertisement, selling advertisement within a magazine that was new. And the challenge of that is people didn't really know what it was when it very first came. They didn't necessarily know if it was worth advertising in the magazine. So I had to kind of ride that wave of making the magazine a prominent entity before I could really get the ad sold in order to be able to take care of those print costs. So those were some learning curves. And as I mentioned, I had to humble myself with it. I had to get really, really creative. Then doing the promotional events. And those were really, really exciting to do. They were fun. It attracted people who I was interested in reading the magazine. I was able to sell my magazines at those events, and then also, of course, make profit from the fact that they paid in order to get into the event. And then it kind of gave birth to the fact that people would call me and ask for me to host their events, and then I would charge them. And it's really interesting because there were other people who were doing promotional events, and I didn't know that they weren't getting paid. And so I had no clue. And so they were like, well, how did you start getting paid? I'm like, you're not getting paid? I always saw that what I did had worth. I was willing to put in the sweat equity. I was willing to promote. So I never came onto the scene thinking I shouldn't get paid for what I was doing in terms of, I would get asked to come and host concert events. Well, I wanted to be at those concerts anyway because I wanted to interview the celebrities who would come to town. But here I was getting paid to come and interview them, and I was getting paid to promote. And they would, hey, how much are you charging us? And I just put a number up, and then of course, that price went up when I started realizing my worth and my value. But yeah, so I think that was a really, really interesting thing. I just learned so much along the way.
Was there ever a time when someone invited you to come and host, and you had to bring up the pay conversation, and if so, how did you bring it up?
I ain't never been scared. so what I would do is say, oh, okay, anytime they would invite for me to come, if they didn't bring it up, I'd say, oh, that'll only be, and then I would say my price, and then they'd be like, oh, okay, cool, all right, come on, and so it was not, by that time, the magazine had already started being a source of conversation in the community, because it was the only thing. And then the people who I would have in there, and then like any entity, try to do some controversy, do some things that would drive people to the magazine. So therefore, I was building a brand and didn't really realize it. I was really building a brand, and so they wanted me to be on the flyers. They wanted me to be seen as promoting it. So yeah, it was never, I don't know, I'm really blessed for that because it was never really a point of contention to where I wasn't going to be paid for coming and hosting an event or promoting. So.
Thank you for that. Right before we hear your startup story, you guys be thinking about your questions because after this next question that I ask, I'm going to open it up.
So as far as the barbershop is concerned, my daughter was born in September of 2009. So when we found out that she was on the way, I was working at KGB call center, which is 411 call center. So all day long I'm sitting in front of this computer, saying stay please, getting cussed out, getting talked bad to, people passing out at work because they stressed out. I mean, just all kind of crazy stuff going on. And so I knew that wasn't long term, something I wanted to do forever. It was just something I did to pay bills. When my daughter was on the way, I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. At that point in time, I I was making $9 an hour, and I was the top. I had the fastest call time in the call center. So one day I was really bored, and I sat down and I did the math. I found out I was taking, my average call time was 23 seconds. And so I multiplied that times what the average cost was per call, how many calls was I taking a day, a week, a month, a year. And I found out I was making the company over $250,000 a year. And they was paying me $9 an hour. So I was like, and they would snatch my little $100 bonuses and stuff because they listened to 10 random calls out of 2,000. And they would say, oh, you sounded too monotone. Oh, you didn't say thank you. You know, just whatever little nitpicky thing. And it would cost, it wouldn't be nothing to them. $150 wouldn't be nothing to them, but to them, like, that make a difference, you know? And so that's when I decided I wanted to do the trade, didn't know what I wanted to do. Started researching, seeing what some of the highest paid trades were. My wife was like, you ever thought about going to barber college? I'm like, no, not really, but I think barbering would be cool in the industry. You get to wear what you want to wear, make your own hours, you know, kind of hang out, watch TV, chop it up. And so I went down there and got some information, got started. Had never cut any hair ever before in my life. Started getting pretty good at it. Started enjoying just the amount of people that you get to meet, and the conversation that you get to have, the relationships you get to build. Started at Franklin's. I was there for 5 years. So that's kind of Franklin's like a staple in the community, one of the largest running barbershops. So I got to meet a lot of people, build a lot of relationships there. My cousin Luke was opening up Midwest Greens, but we had been barbers. So I said, okay, I'll go over there and use my license to open up that shop and get it launched. About 6 months into that, I kind of saw that what I had envisioned and what we had talked about previously wasn't my vision. Even though I helped launch it, it wasn't my vision. So I knew at that point it was time for me to start my own business. I actually started my first shop across the street here on the other side of the smoke shop. In that big dirt parking lot with the red roof that's slanted. And it was interesting because there had been several businesses, some legal, some illegal, over the years. So it was an interesting start. And after, you gotta be real creative as an entrepreneur, especially when you don't have a lot of resources. So after I saw what I was able to do there, that kind of gave me the confidence to say, okay, now what can I do? And that's when I started jumping into a lot of other things. And so that's how I started.
Thank you for sharing that. Isn't that a motivator when you can see how much money you're making other people and the time that you're giving to other people that can be spent in a different way for ourselves? The last question I'm going to ask you all before we dive into our interactive portion is this. When we talk about all the communication that's happening as a business owner, you have to be able to market, have to be able to get your products and services out there in the community. How do you break through when there's so much noise in the marketplace? Don't give us, the secret sauce, but give us some things we can work with on how you break through marketing-wise.
I just try to be, persistent and, try to stay on with, photos or whatever on social media or anything I type, I hashtag Big Walk Apparel, think big, whatever my hashtags or slogans are. I try to put something out to kind of be, like I said, tugging on that mind a little bit, keep you engaged, at least with my phrases or my slogans or whatever. So that way when I drop something major, you're already kind of tapped in or anticipating. So
I think for me is being comfortable with having a few different messages go out. So anytime I do an event, I might start with one flyer. By the time that I promote that, I probably have 2 or 3 different flyers advertising maybe a different angle to the same event, or perhaps just something that I might just decide to switch up the colors, switch up the people on the flyer, because there's different things, and I look at how I look at things. Sometimes when you scroll through Facebook, and we all do this, but when you scroll through Facebook, you're like, I'm gonna see that. And then it's just something, but anytime you put out a new image, even though it is the same exact event, it just makes people stop. So now, and this is when I was in college, I found out that you have to have, I believe, 7 different touches. 7 different touches. And so some of that is going to be putting it might be 3 different flyers. It might be the fact that now you're tagging people, tag people who want to be tagged, okay? That's another thing. And then I might share it to someone who I think would benefit from it or be interested in it. So just those different touches, encourage someone to promote it. I've even done like, I'm not above doing like little gimmicky things. I might do a giveaway in order to promote it, in order to boost the shares. I've done a text to vote contest. That's another thing in order to not just advertise, but also to be able to start generating a fan base and a way to be able to contact these people. And so I think for me that getting really, really creative, I think that sometimes we think, okay, well, I didn't pay for this flyer. This is the only flyer they're gonna see for the next year, and you can't operate a business like that. If you think of it, you'll see so many different Popeyes commercials. You'll see different McDonald's commercials. They've not been using the same thing all year. And so you have to be like that even when you're an independent business owner.
I think it's important to be unique in your field, your genuine self. So there's other in-home daycares in Wichita, right? But what's different about yours? You have to really get that message and that point across. You have to identify your market. Who is it that you're trying to attract? Who is it that you're catering to, your target market. Also, events are really good, especially if you're a new business that's just been started, launching. We had a ribbon cutting here. That was a great opportunity to get people in the door, tell your story, share some information. You shared your grand opening with the community. And everybody can do that with their business if you choose to do so. But I think the main thing is, I didn't want to ever just have like another barbershop. Me personally, we have enough of those. But what's one thing that's very important to me, family-friendly environment, professional, clean, all those types of things are important. But I think what's different about our shop from a lot of other shops is we really engage with the community. And I think that's my thing, for me and my business. And I think everybody has to find out what yours is in your business and then really ride it. Because people will connect with you. There's a lot of people who come into the shop who don't get a haircut. They just know like, hey, yeah, we go chop it up. And it's already been in there. A lot of different people have been in there just to chop it up, say what's up, see what's going on, and connect on another level. My motto is there so much more than the barbershop. So that's really just I'm trying to be different.
I like that. I like what you said because as an entrepreneur, we know there's only 24 hours in a day, and there's so much to get done. So sometimes you have that where people are coming and are they spending or are they, but that's part of the brand. And you never know when that's all invested can circle back around because now you have a fan, now you have a supporter, now you have an ambassador. So that time spent is still time spent. All right, you're gonna open it up. Some questions?
I will. So I talk to a lot of people, and they're always asking me, like, how do you find times to invest in yourself, whether like research or learning things? So what would you say to people about that? Like, how do you guys find time to come up with new ideas or whatever?
We always have our phones. That's what I did. I was trying to figure out how to create a shoot. I always have my phone out. What's the first step? Manufacturer or is it the design? What do I need to do first? I was always on my phone. We're on social media. Why can't I use it to research something that's going to benefit me in the long run? So that's kind of what I do. I always have it. Even if I'm on the go, I can just stop real quick, boom, look at it. Okay, got it, and then move on. So,
being transparent, when I told you that I'm nobody's employee, I meant that. So, although I do have a full-time job, I have been blessed to, in the last few years, been in positions that are really, really flexible, where I have always worked really, really, worked ahead or, been able to do a lot in very little time. Well, in that other time, could I possibly go home and go lounge for the rest of the day? Absolutely. But do I I'm always reaching out to people. I'm looking for seminars to go to and attend, things to travel, even outside the Wichita market, so that I come back inspired with different ideas. And I think that, if you're at a job that you're unhappy being at, or just in general, when you have that desire to grow, make sure that you're utilizing those. I've looked for jobs on a job. I have, taken phone calls on a job, and I'm not encouraging you. Please don't do that. I'm just saying, I'm just being really, really transparent and saying that, when you have that drive to, to want more for yourself, or to want to be a better entrepreneur, if you're going to make the time, and sometimes that has been, staying up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning in order to crank out a magazine on a deadline that I put out there when I was being really overzealous, okay? And so just making that time for what you're inspired to do and what you want.
I've been a student of YouTube University now for quite a few years. One of the most underutilized times that most people have, we usually spend about an hour or more in our car every day. So instead of listening to music, unless my kids are in the car, then they kind of help choose the selection. But usually when I'm in my car on my way to the shop, on my way to the store, or whatever, I always listen to audiobook. I encourage everybody, if you haven't subscribed to Audible, it's the best $15 a month that you'll ever spend. They give you a credit every month that can be used to buy a book that's $100 or $2. But anyway, so I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and we're in the same, we're in several groups, same groups on Facebook. We share a lot of ideas and thoughts on social media. You can use social media for entertainment, you can use it for education, you can use it for networking, you can use it for a lot of different things. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks when I'm in the car. If I don't know how to do something, or I have a question about something on YouTube, it's right on there. I subscribe to Eric Thomas's Thank God It's Monday for about every day for probably a year. And Eric Thomas is like my dad. He always know. I didn't have a lot of male role models in my life that were reaching for the same types of things that I'm reaching for. So when I was listening to Eric Thomas, it was like music to my ears. So I encourage everybody to find somebody, and maybe Eric Thomas is a good person to listen to, but find somebody that really speaks life into you, and that you can identify with, and that you can take their life experiences and apply to your own. But I just always constantly, you have to make it a part of your lifestyle. You have to make self-improvement just a priority and part of your lifestyle. So whether that means you need to wake up 30 minutes early every day, or go to bed 30 minutes late, or take a break when you're at your job, and when you're going to lunch, listen to something for 30 minutes, you can always find the time or make the time to self-improve.
Who else? Yes, you?
YouTube University. I also have a PhD in.
Yeah.
But, okay, so this question is related to that.
Okay.
When you're looking at starting a business or doing a project or just going out and doing anything, some people are a jack of all trades. That's like me. Like, I'll get on YouTube and figure out how to fix my car. It's not even, but at what point do you realize, like, do you need to go in for the information inward and teach yourself? Or do you need to go outward? Like, at what point do you make that decision, and how do you make that decision on whether you just need to build the skills yourself or find somebody who already has the skills?
So my experience has been, if it's something quick, like I need to change the doorknob, I'm going to YouTube for it. I need a quick little bit of information, I'm going to go to Google, YouTube for it. If it's something that you're doing as a profession or a career or as a business, eventually I think you should invest in some training. It doesn't necessarily have to be in-person training. I'm also part of J. Morrison Academy, which is like a online school for real estate, and he does a lot of different things. You want to subscribe to someone who specializes specifically in what it is that you're looking to do, and then you want to plug into that. So that maybe, and different people learn different ways. If I go to a classroom, like if I was sitting in the garage door for like 6 hours or something like that, I'd be asleep. I'd be thinking about what I'm doing. I'm leaving, like school, I was done with school a long time ago. traditionally. But as far as like going to workshops and meeting and networking with people and stuff, I do this all the time. So I think it just depends on specifically what you're looking to get information on. If it's something like career or business opportunity, I think you should definitely consider investing in some specialized training or workshops and things of that nature.
Thank you.
Books are good too.
Do we have another question?
I do. I struggle with taking financial risks and investing.
Most people do.
Yeah, I'm very safe. I plan. This bill is due this date and that sort of thing. And sometimes, sometimes when funds are called to be allocated, like, well, you should do this for the business. I struggle with that. How do you guys balance that passion and investing in yourself, your business? Obviously, it's a long term, and then playing it safe and you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So for me, that's never been an issue because I'm just a different personality type.
Yeah.
But I definitely understand where you're coming from because I have a wife, and
Yeah.
that's her. And so for her, the way that I was able to help her along with that is just be successful or whatever it is that you're doing. Like, you got to bring some money home, dude. You can't just go out and do things and talk about, you know, a structured, safe person. Women are, in my opinion, are all about security. They want to feel physically safe, financially safe, spiritually safe. All of these, they want security. And so for me, I just had to put up or shut up. I was only going to be able to sell my wife on what my dreams and aspirations and goals were. And I'm going out, I'm going to make this happen. And for so long, and that can cause a lot of friction in a relationship because I believe most married women want to stay behind their husbands and be supportive, but at the same time, we want to eat. We want to make sure these bills are paid. So for me, some people get too far off, like, and I use music as an example because we all know like people who enjoy making music. But if it's not making you no money, it need to be your side hustle. You need to bring home some bread to pay the bills, and then you do your side hustle on the side. Work late, wake up early, and do that and do that as you go. So for me, it's never really been a challenge because I didn't even realize this the other day until I came in and talked to you. My mom told me when I was younger that she used to always tell me everything I touch would turn to gold. And I didn't realize the other day when I was talking to her that I really believed that. And so for me, when I have an idea or a concept that I come up with, it's not like, is it going to work? It's like, it's going to work. Everything that I put my hands on, I'm going to add value to, I'm going to improve, it's going to be beneficial. So I don't really think about, I don't make dumb decisions, I still make calculated decisions, but I don't really fear something not working or not being successful because I don't really put in work to make sure that it is successful.
I think you touched on something too, that communication, and then also I would just add working off of the budget as well. If you know that, you know, I have some things that I need for the company or the business or things like that, and here's what I'd like to allocate towards it, as long as y'all are on the same page and good stuff, then you have the security that, you know what, I work for this, we plan for this, I'm still experimenting, but it's the process of how we experiment. I'll be candid, I'm not on camera, but I'll add this, because again, real talk. So I do graphic design and communication services, but I also do minority business development through the nonprofit Create campaign. For-profit is cool, nonprofit is just booming. I don't get paid on the nonprofit side though, but it started consuming more and more of my time. 2 years ago, my husband, you know, he's been great. He's the one that's held down the jobs so that I could go and do and build. And we had a conversation like, finally, like, I need you to bring more money in. And it hurt. Because I feel like I'm working 24-hour shifts and things like that to protect the family and protect them because they didn't ask for this. This is something that I'm doing. You know, but he was like, okay, you got to bring in some more money. But I realized we weren't tracking it very well. I was doing my set of books, he had his set of books, and we were never coming together. So once we decided to start talking more openly about finances, then I knew what I had to do. So there's never a time where my husband has to look at me and say, you need to bring in more. Because I heard him so much and heard me here. But now we're good because I know what I need to do and what I can't do.
I just wanted to say, you guys were affirming to me tonight. Because I just spoke on the panel today, and you echoed exactly what I said on the panel. It's more important for people to know my work than it is for them to know my name. And then you said passion and purpose is one of the things that I said today. I'm letting my passion and my purpose lead me in my work. So my question for you guys, one of the things we do, I have entities in entrepreneurship, we do help and loans. So how are you maintaining your spirit while you're on this journey to get you where you want to go? Because we do that all gas, no brakes, and we crash. Yeah. So how are you guys taking care of yourselves to make sure that you can maintain and continuously deliver without crashing?
Physically, I go work out every day. Well, Monday through Thursday, weekends is kind of my thing. I try to make sure I get some level of cardio or whatever. But mentally, I'm a thinker, so I like to, assess like daily my weaknesses or whatever, and try to make them my strengths. That makes me to look inward at myself. That's me personally, as Chris Walker, the man,
Right.
as the husband, the dad, the teacher at school, all those aspects. So kind of constantly taking inventory on what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. That's kind of, my way of maintaining a certain level of like health mentally and physically. That makes sense.
I could probably learn something. I think that for me, over the last few years, I started being really meticulous with how my time is spent. The thing about being an entrepreneur is just that wanting to be everything to everyone all the time. And so I was very much doing that in the first few years of, navigating through entrepreneurship. There was not a meeting that I turned down. There was not someone who, hey, I got this idea. They tell you an idea and you're telling them all of what they need to get done, and then they're telling you, well, who's gonna do that? I can help you with that. I can do that. And then pretty soon you've taken that on. And so I think for me, and I even mentioned this on social media a few years ago, is just with, keeping a balance, and you want to make sure that you're saying it. Sometimes when I see business owners get on Facebook, especially small business owners, and they're like, don't hit me up, don't contact me, I'm booked, I'm busy, don't hit me up. It leaves a horrible taste in my mouth. And I will, and I hate to say it, but I will not even contact them. I could want a cake, you sitting here, I am booked, and I hate that. So I had to be creative with how I communicated that. So when people tell me, hey, I got this idea and I want to run it by you, I'm like, okay, share it with me. Oh, can we get together for a meeting? I'm like, yeah, I would love to get together, for a meeting with you. Can you tell me a little more before? And so I kind of am able to filter. And it does not sit right with me that I be the person who they need to connect with in order to help fulfill this. I am now okay with having this network of people that I can say, you know what? This is amazing. Let me get you on over to Autumn Black. You know what? Oh, this business idea. Have you thought about contacting Christina Long? She's doing Create Campaign. Let me share this flyer that Christina been posting. Here you go. This is where you need to be at. And so I'm just now, instead of trying to be everything for everyone, I'm now finding value in my network. I don't have to be that person when I'm already a part of a network that includes so many phenomenal people who do an abundance of different things. So I will pass the baton in a minute.
So I think both of y'all touched on things that are good. I think one of the things that's important is mental, physical, and spiritual. They're all tied together. And so I think it is important to keep a regular workout routine, because when you don't feel good physically, it affects everything else. And exercise is a stress reliever, and there's a lot of different science behind tying in exercise into your mental well-being, your mental health, spiritual. You can take that how you want to take it. Everybody has different belief systems and things of that nature. I think it's important to connect with other like-minded individuals, pray, meditate. meditate regularly, daily, if you can. Research other opportunities or other things that you could do. So if you're saying you're struggling with stress or whatever the case may be, hit YouTube University, hit Google, Google State, and find different things and just try different things. And different things work for different people, and it is a process, like what he said. So it's ever evolving. The same things that I have to do today in order to keep that balance are not the same things I had to do 5 years ago or even 2 years ago. So I have to constantly be aware, self-aware of myself and how I'm feeling and how things are going and make the proper adjustments. 2 books that I recommend. One is The One Thing, and then The One Thing they discuss a subject matter or an idea called counterbalance. He says there's no such thing as balance. There's only counterbalance. And I like to tie that thought into something I heard T.D. Jakes say. He said you're going to battle with something every day. You're not going to be the best wife every day or the best mother every day or the best daughter or the best niece or the best business owner or the best sister or the best friend or whatever. You're going to fail in several areas every day, but it's important not to fail in the same area every day. Because for a time period, I put everything on the back burner. I put everything below my entrepreneurship, and it negatively impacted my family life. And I think most entrepreneurs have, done that before, or some, to a certain extent. And so it's important to schedule time, to give time to things that are most important in your life, and prioritizing is a big part of that. So if your friendship is a priority to you, you want to keep your relationships good, you gotta, hey, Christina, once a month we need to get together and have a girls' night. No matter what, you gotta clear it up our schedule, pull out your calendar. Your husband, your daughter, your son, your niece, your nephew, anything that's important to you, sit down. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of us don't do because we get caught up in that rat race. Sit down and think and put some stuff on paper. And so that's good to do. It would be best to do it every day. Many times I do it every day. Sometimes I do it in the morning when I'm working out. I just kind of get in the zone and I'm in my own head and I'm like, these are the things I need to get done. When was the last time we had a date night? It's been like 3 weeks. Let me go ahead and get over here and get these tickets at the AMC and send them to her. You know what I mean? So taking that time to really, what you call it, bro?
Wellness.
Taking that time to gather your thoughts.
Take inventory.
Take inventory. Take inventory of the things that are important to you and how much time, attention, energy, and effort are you putting into those things that you say are a priority. I'll give you one example, being transparent. I had my mom's Christmas gift in my car until January 12th. I saw her, Christmas. I saw her Christmas Eve. I didn't have her gift with me. Got the gift afterwards, me and my kids got the gift. And I had it in my car until January 12th. You see what I'm saying? But if you ask me, Mom, it's everything. You know what I mean? But I didn't take inventory to see, okay, my mom is very important to me. I need to make sure that we already make that happen. Make time for other things that I enjoy, other things that I like, and other things that are important. So I just, take that inventory, just sit down, think, put some stuff on paper, and just make sure that you, and yourself, that's the most important thing to answer your question. Yourself, you're on that list. Because if you're not physically there, mentally there, spiritually there, you ain't no good to nobody else around you know it. So you have to make yourself a priority as well, or everybody around you is going to suffer because they're not going to get the best version of you. They're going to a watered down, stressed out, tired version of you instead of the best version of you.
That's a really good segue into, again, prioritizing. You all could have been, I always say this, y'all are probably sick of hearing me every time. You've heard me for years now. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to invest in yourself. And honestly, this effort, this program to hear your stories, investing in them, and you have so invested in us. I want to thank you guys for that. I am a big respecter of time, and so I'm going to throw one thing at you all. that they were not aware of, so be patient. But instead of asking me the final call, you know how TED Talks has it or whatever. What I'd like for you guys to actually do is just stand up and we give them a final word for real. Because there's probably some things that we didn't get to in questions, but that came across your mind that you really want to impart upon them tonight. We're going to hear from them their final word. We have reflections for you all, and we do have some prize giveaways as well. So who wants to give a final word?
You keep
Perfect.
it.
I think we gotta do it slow.
No, you guys
Sorry, I gotta stand up. Got you. Okay, so I guess my final word would literally be to like think. You know, I found myself in situations throughout childhood and adulthood where I may have like ruined relationships or hurt them in certain hurt people in certain type of ways because I didn't stop and think. You know, made bad choices from a business standpoint because I was just so like, oh, I need to get this done. I missed a step, and then I lost like some money off of it, you know. Or I may have, like I said, ruined a relationship based on that deal because I didn't think, you know. We have our brain is very powerful, and basically to be able to really, you know, assess how you operate on a day-to-day basis. I think that would do well in the long run. You know, so.
I would definitely say to get comfortable with fear. Get comfortable, I'm sorry, with failure. So get comfortable with failure because, you know, I think a lot of times we fear failure and that becomes the issue, but, you know, but failure is not final. There's so much to learn in failure. And so because it's not final, I would encourage every single one of you to be a risk taker, to decide what you're comfortable with sacrificing, what you're comfortable with potentially losing, but getting really comfortable with that idea of failure. And so it's really helped me to grow so much. It's allowed me to be able to be a better, you know, person with coming up with better strategy, you know, looking inward, and then being able to share those experiences of failure with other people in order to make sure that they don't experience the same type of failure. So just getting comfortable with failure and then deciding what to do after.
So my final word would be that you can do it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all in here to talk about entrepreneurship. Everybody saw the flyer. Nobody came in here to learn another language or to learn anything about politics or nothing like that. We all came here to talk about entrepreneurship. Most of us are probably first generation. You can do it. I mean, whatever you set your mind to, fall in love with the process, fall in love with self-development, fall in love with really gearing yourself to become the person that you want to be. Because I imagine that nobody in here thinks small. Because if you thought small, you'd probably be at home. And you wouldn't be in here right now trying to figure it out. So if you're thinking big, you're trying to get to the next level, you're trying to grow, you're trying to develop yourself, you gotta understand that you can do it. Keep doing what you're doing as far as seeking out opportunities for growth and development. Commit to just growing yourself into the person that you need to be in order to get to that next level. You're not gonna be able to get to the next level as the person that you are. You're gonna have to grow as an individual in order to get there. So if you want to be a multi-millionaire, Anton probably about 3/4 of the way there. You know what I mean? That he didn't get there thinking the way that he thought 20 years ago. It was a process in which he had to learn and grow and develop himself in order to say, you know what, instead of spending my money on this, I'm gonna invest it here. Instead of working on this, I'm gonna work on that. And so just follow along with the process and understand that you can do it, you're gonna do it. You know, everybody in here, I believe, has a purpose, and if you just stick with it and stay committed, then good things will happen.
We'll give our panelists a hand.